All right, we're hot. We're recording. Welcome to Shiftless episode 126. This one's going to be a lot different than usual, but I can't help myself. Have a really interesting guest. Talk about him in a moment. I think he's going to have a lot of interesting things to talk about. I am, aside from our guest that we're about to introduce, flying a little solo. This is Kevin. I am in the wilds of Florida, way down upon the Swanee River. Chef Brad is back home in Texas. Couldn't drag him along for this trip, but boy howdy, we will be dragging him along for some of the adventures. And my guest and I will be talking about some of those. I'm super excited to have been able to wrangle a gentleman by the name of Rick Ashton to join us here. And I don't know how much time you have this afternoon, Rick, because I have a feeling you have many stories to tell. We may have to plan on a part 2 or part 3 somewhere down the road. I think our paths are going to cross on a fairly regular basis going forward.
Probably will, Matt.
I'm hoping so. But let's give the snapshot overview of what a Rick Ashton is for those who may not be familiar with it. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't completely familiar with it. Some of our social media comments back and forth to each other, and then thank you. You made some donations to the Tuba Trail. That was greatly appreciated. I know I recognize that name. I had to do a Google search. Oh, now I remember where I heard that name. Fair to say you are a Tour Divide veteran?
Yes. Done the Tour Divide 5 times.
5 times.
And finished it 3.
And how long ago was your last attempt?
In 2023.
And how old were you at that time?
77, I believe.
77. Does that make you 79 now?
Yes.
When will you be 80?
September.
And did you complete it in 23?
Yes.
But
when I decided to do it again after the border to border, because of COVID, the border was closed down. So they had border to border race.
I remember that.
So deciding to do it again in memory of Hal Russell, who is an extremely important person for the Tour Divide. He's done it, I believe, 6 times and finished every single time. He's 3 years younger than I was. Or am. And I would do it about every 4 years. So the first time I did it was in 2009. Matthew Lee talked me into doing his race, and it was his race for several years, and he still is involved in the Tour Divide. So in 2009, there were about 47 starters, where now it's up to close to 200.
Getting close to 200, isn't it?
Yep. So back when it first started, I believe it was the 2nd or 3rd year that it was running. Matthew wanted to make it an international race. And starting in Canada, where you have to cross the border into America, that made it an international race. So at the time, I was in between the fast group and the slow group. I never saw another racer from the first start of it.
Okay.
And it rained just about every day that year.
And I'm sorry, my math's terrible. How old were you in your first attempt? And your math is just as bad.
Yes.
Not quite 20 years ago, though. 60-ish?
Yeah. Each year I've done it, I've been the oldest racer at the time.
Are you the oldest to complete it?
That is Hal Russell did it after I did it in 2017.
So the years overlap?
Yeah. I've done it in 2009, 2013, 2017, and 2021, and 2023.
Okay.
Each of those years, I was the oldest one to compete in the Tour Divide.
Okay.
And 13 and 17, I was the oldest official finisher. You have to be finished within 30 days to be an official finisher.
Okay.
So this last time I did it was I made a racing shirt jersey for racing in memory of Hal Russell, had his picture on the front and back, and everybody enjoyed seeing his picture. But my mind said, no problem, you could do it just like you did border to border and do 100 miles a day. But when I started the first day, my body's going, no, don't listen to your mind anymore because your body is not up to snuff anymore, as old as I am. So in Canada, I was riding with a female who had an accident coming off of Coco Claims. And she said she didn't think that she could do the next section, which was the last section going into the U.S. And it had the wall section. She didn't think that she could make it up the wall. So at that point, we went from the town in, what was the name of that town? Not Eureka, but anyways, we took the pavement straight across the border. And at that time, they designated me as touring because I skipped a section.
You skipped a segment.
So I'm going, great. That means I can do anything I want.
Pressure's off of that, right?
Rather than racing with the official racing rules, I can do anything I wanted. Coming off of Indiana Pass, I've been having trouble with my GPX. And I had two of them, and both of them messed up in Montana. From there, I went all the way to Breckenridge by memory.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
So, yeah, I've done it so many times. There's a lot of sections that you know exactly where you are, but there are sections that are real long. You forget about those real long sections that don't have any significance in your mind. So coming off Indiana Pass, it was raining, and looking at my GPS, and I'm going, this doesn't seem right. So I made it all the way down to the bottom when I finally realized I missed the turn.
Wow.
And I didn't want to make the climb back up to the point where I missed the turn. So since I'm touring, I can do anything I want. So I looked at the map when I got down to a town, South Fork, and I'm going, oh, I have to go from this town to that town to Durango to Aztec to make it back to the route in Tuba. So I did skip a short section of the route, but I made it back and ended up finishing not in 30 days this time, but close to 40 days.
And this was in 23.
Yes.
Okay.
And I listened to my body saying, that is definitely it. Each time I finished, I said, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. Especially the first time when I made it all the way to Steamboat and pulled out Steamboat.
Okay.
My mind was just destroyed by not seeing another racer all the time and the conditions. But I'm so impressed with people that start their first race and finish it the first time.
Yeah, that's one of the big things is how do you prepare for something like the Tour Divide if you've never done anything like that before?
You have to prepare mentally, not as much physically, but mentally, you have to really get into it. So the next two times I did it, 13 and 17, I finished and really was felt. The first time I finished, the emotions were so crazy that I didn't believe that I would have those emotions. I was crying. I was so happy I finished. I was glad it was over, but I was sad that it was over. Being out there for 30 days on yourself, fending for yourself, camping, some motels, it just gives you so much confidence that you could continue riding like that, self-supported.
So I would guess you've seen quite a bit of technology change in the Tour Divide setups since you
Yes.
started until the last time at the everything from the navigation to the bikes themselves, but even the gear you're carrying, right?
Yes.
What was your first time? What bike were you on for that one?
It was a Schwinn homegrown 26er.
Wow.
And that was probably part of how hard it was. And the next time I rode was a 29er, and it's a world of difference.
And what 29er did you ride?
Moto Pecan,
Okay.
triple,
All right.
It worked absolutely great. I named it Trigger
I like that.
along the route. And when I finished, I boxed it up and shipped it home. And UPS supposedly had an accident
Oh,
and a
no.
fire, and I never got any of it back.
Oh, no.
So I lost all my gear. My son made a frame bag for me, and I really missed that. But the bike itself, I wanted to just hang it up in my house. And this is the first time I've finished,
Sure.
and I'm not doing it again.
But you did. So what was
Three more times.
what was the last bike you rode on it?
The last one was a Lightspeed titanium. The Motor Bikini and the Lightspeed were both titanium.
Okay.
And it
Days
was a
fly.
1x, yes. It's a 1x with a dinner plate on the back, 52 on the back.
Okay.
And I found out that I didn't do the research on the gearing from a triple to a 1x. And the triple is lower gearing than the 1x that I used. So I'm cranking up
So you're,
while other people are spinning up.
you're having to mash a little bit, huh?
Yeah. And the first time we did it, that was when it first started for navigation purposes to use a GPS utensil. We had to go by, most of us used a physical map.
Okay.
So you had to, when you came up to a spot where it says first right on the next unsigned route or unsigned road, there may be two rights within 100 yards. So you go down this one and you figure, oh, I'm on the wrong side. So you had to go back and take the other. So there's a lot of stopping and looking at the maps.
I remember those days. I do remember those days. So what's your navigation device of choice these days?
Trex 20.
Okay. Still a little old school,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are using the Wahoo and the other, what's the one they most of them use now?
Well, the
Garmin
Garmin 1040 Solar is the big one. That new Coros Dura, which is also solar, is starting to get a little bit of traction because of the long battery slash solar life on it. But
Yeah, I use a 1030, Garmin 1030 now.
okay, very nice. I'm sure you have lots of different stories of things that went wonderfully, some things that didn't go quite as ideal as you may like. Any major travesties or negative issues that you came across along the way?
You think about, okay, the wildlife out there, everybody's afraid of the bears.
That's the one reason I will never attempt the Tour Divide. I have no use for a grizzly bear.
So the first time I did it, actually it was 2009. Coming down a descent, I turned a corner and there's a grizzly right in front of me, already heard me coming, so it's on a dead run. So I stayed behind it about 10 or 15 yards behind it. And I'm just going like right behind it. Luckily, it didn't stop and turn around. So it veered off to the side and was running through the woods as I went by him. That was my closest experience to a grizzly bear.
Okay.
There are other times when I'd wake up and there'd be scat just outside my tent,
So
still steaming.
There would be signs.
But the bears really didn't bother me. It's kind of like swimming in the ocean with sharks.
I'm okay with sharks. I'm okay. Oh, and for those that may not be aware, we're at Madison Blue Springs, right on the Swanee River.
Absolutely beautiful.
This is beautiful. This is a fantastic day. I'm glad we didn't meet yesterday in the rain. It rained really good, but this is an absolutely beautiful day. This is my old stomping grounds here along the Swanee River. I'm just tickled to be in a spot like this on a beautiful day like this. Sharks, alligators, I'm perfectly fine with. Crocodiles, I'm not a big fan of, but don't deal with those a whole lot. Black bears, I'm okay with. Mountain lions, I'm okay with. Grizzly bear, just nope, not going to happen.
And never did see a cougar out there. I saw some coyotes, lots of cows.
I bet.
Ton of cows. And during the night, their eyes shine green.
Okay, yeah.
So that's one thing you want to look for if you're riding at night. If you see a bunch of green eyes, they're cows.
I would guess there was probably another evolutionary change along the way that you may have noticed. Fair to say that at the beginning, when you started doing the Tour Divide, any people you came across along the way would be totally confused what you guys were up to. Did towards the last couple years? Are the locals along the way more familiar with it, or is it still so sporadic that most people don't know what's going
Yeah,
on?
most people don't know.
Okay.
There are several trail angels
Sure.
on the route that will help you out in an instant. Certain places, they know that if you're stuck out there, you could die, especially during a snowstorm, a freak snowstorm. They will take you off route for 50 miles to a bike shop, wait for your bike to get finished, and bring you back to that spot. And that's what you have to do in the Tour de France. If you leave the route, you have to come back to the same spot where you leave it. For bike issues, I had one issue on, I forgot the name of it. It's right outside, it's in Montana, right before Sealy Lake. Jeez, old age, man. Your mind.
There's people screaming at, this is what you're talking about, but that's okay. They know.
So
Look at the map, folks.
anyways, at the crest, it's a single track, and there's one section where it's a straight drop for hundreds of feet. And they had short little pines, and one of them grabbed my derailleur and ripped it off. So luckily, and this was at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's snowing and sleeting.
Of course.
And I'm thinking my hands are shaking because I was so cold. I'm figuring I don't really want to try to fix it here because stuff I take off, I'll lose a screw or something. So I essentially freewheeled it and coasted down the backside and made it to Sealy Lake. And there's a motel there that they said, just knock on the door, ring the bell, and we'll come down. I rang that bell. So anyways, I just laid my sleeping bag down outside a cover and waited for daylight and was able to fix it at that time and restart the race. That was the one that I finished.
That's the right approach. Don't get caught up where you're going to make mistakes. Go ahead and get the rest and do it right, sort of thing. Meant to ask this a little bit ago when you threw the homegrown into the mix. First, what color was your homegrown?
Yellow.
Okay, nice. Fair to say that you come from a mountain bike background, if that's what you started the Tuba bike on?
More of a triathlete.
Okay.
I was in the process of doing a lot of triathlons. I qualified for the World Championship in Hawaii. Did that in 1998. And I had the big cow horn type aero bar on that bike. Yeah. It was a 700. I forgot what, I think it was a Fuji. And so I finished that, felt great on that one. And I needed to buy a new tri-bike, and I bought a Lightspeed titanium. A lot of my bikes are titanium, and did a lot of my racing after that. I didn't do Hawaii again, but I've done over 100 triathlons, mostly sprints and Olympic distances. I've done a few full.
Okay. And when did you start doing less tries and Ironmans and start leaning more into the cycling? Or have you not? Are you still a tri guy?
Every now and then. I'm not a runner anymore. My legs don't like running. But biking, they still are good with biking. I'm a little bit slower than I used to be. So the last several years, I've been doing kind of both triathlons and long distance mountain biking.
Okay.
I've done the swim around Key West 3 times, which is 12.5 miles. That's a very nice, different. I was looking for something different rather than just a straight triathlon or long distance biking. So I found this swim around Key West and did it 3 times and really enjoyed that. I've done adventure racing. One was in Louisiana, and they said that it was the Serengeti and that we would see all sorts of wildlife, but basically all we saw was a bunch of cows on the.
If they're wild cows, it's wild.
They're on a lot of the dikes that they put us on.
Yeah.
We would have to canoe and bike and run and do the orienteering also on this cross Florida work. In Louisiana, it was through a big giant swamp area. Appalachia, I forgot the name of that place where they had us.
I know exactly where you're talking about.
We did have to canoe underneath the I-10 bridge that went through that swamp area. So I've done several different things. I did skydiving back in college. So I'm always looking for new adventures.
So what's on your bucket list now?
Well, leave a route that you're navigating through and making a route for us so we could ride that.
That's not paid. Thank you. That means a lot to me that you bring it up like that. We're going to need somebody to verify Arizona, New Mexico, Arizona, and California on a bike before we make it officially available. Everything's been ridden from Jackson. Almost everything's been ridden. Minor deviations in a couple spots, but not a big deal. From Jacksonville to the Texas-New Mexico border. That's all been ridden on by bicycles so far.
So I did mention to you, Kevin,
Yep.
about crossing part of the Tour Divide route.
Yep.
And you had indicated, yeah, we take you right through Pie Town.
Yep.
Pie Town's great, especially the Toaster House. You can stay in the Toaster House, just nobody's there. The lady just left it to the people that are hiking and biking through Pie Town, and she leaves it open, and some of the people take care of it. And the first time I was there, I was knocking on the door, and it says, a sign just said, come on in.
Just come on in.
So I opened the door, walked through the whole house, nobody was there. And then I found a suite on the second floor. Beautiful. That was the best sleep of the whole Tour Divide.
That's good to know. I was not aware of that. So next time we go through there, we'll go through and tidy up some and maybe leave some resupply things here and there. So
Yep.
I appreciate the heads up on that one. Yeah, we would love to have you do the Tuba. Are you thinking about doing the whole thing in one pull, or are you looking at breaking it up in segments?
I was thinking about it. It depends on what my body
Sure.
does.
Sure.
I've talked to several of my friends about it, and they weren't aware of this being developed, and they were really intrigued about it. So I have a couple of female friends that we're in. We want to do it with you.
Excellent.
Depending on how my body does, I would like to do the whole thing at once.
Okay.
But this is an extra 1,000 miles from the Tour Divide route.
But not nearly the amount of climbing.
I understand that.
But
And-
it's
and-
still the time. It's still going to take the time.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one as a coordinator, as a promoter, as a events director, whatever you want to call it. That's one of the things I wonder about is, do people even have the time available to do something like this? Because it's probably going to be a little over 4,000 miles when
Yeah.
it's all done. I'm guessing somebody with your experience and knowing how to do extended things like that and doing it at not the traditional touring pace of 20 to 50 miles a day, more of the Tour Divide type pace, probably in the range of 100-mile days.
Yeah.
40 days is what I'm guessing, somewhere around there.
Now, from here, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, you can do 100 miles a day.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, unless you put us through some real sandy stuff that
Sometimes
Yes.
it's sandy, sometimes it's not.
I
Depends on the
understand.
weather.
But if you have a 20-mile section that
That's nothing but sugar sand.
or 20 or 50-mile sugar sand, you'd be pushing that bike a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we're looking forward to it. And I tell my people that you could do it in sections like the AT Trail. A lot of my friends do sections of it every year. And this would be something else that they would like to do in sections rather than do the full thing.
I'm thinking most people that end up attempting it will do it that they'll break it up into different chunks. But
You never know, because you have the Tour Divide, which Matthew Lee started, and he was the one who got me into doing the Tour Divide, and he's still in part of it. But there's going to be a lot of people that want to race it, I think.
maybe I think there'll be people that want to set an FKT on it. Whether getting people to actually race it, that will take a few years for those pieces to come together, would be my guess.
Yeah, and it depends on how many people are interested in it. And then you'd probably have to have a bike shop or something started in Jacksonville.
That's on the to-do list. I've got a couple in mind there. And man, I'm going to bring this up. and hopefully this doesn't take the conversation the wrong way, but I'll be honest with so I went through Thomasville yesterday and had the wife with me yesterday, and I was so excited to show off Hubs and Hops tour because last time I'd been there was pre-COVID, and when I laid out the first route, I spent a bunch of time in amazing shop, amazing tap room, and we go there yesterday and everything's different.
Yep.
I'm assuming they got caught up in the bike industry shuffle that's been going on, or
Not as much as of that, but he wanted to create something new. So they turned the bike shop into
an event center.
place
Okay.
and moved the bike shop into a office that the original owner was still using.
Okay.
I personally liked the old bike shop a lot better because it's more wide open. You got all the bikes there.
It was an amazing shop when I went. All the coolest and greatest salsa stuff, and they had great merch. And I'm not knocking it now. It was just I was caught off guard by that change. and I don't want that to sound like a negative because Lord knows the bicycle industry is tough.
It's a great, if you're ever on the Tuba, you got to stop in to the Hubs and Hops.
Hubs and Hops is still a mandatory stop. There's no doubt about it.
Definitely.
No doubt about it.
The mechanic there is top notch because a lot of people from Tallahassee take their bikes to Hubs and Hops.
I've always assumed that was the case because I wouldn't think that Thomasville by itself could really support an adventure bike shop like that. I would assume that there's some Tallahassee folks that contribute to that.
And I've got a ride from Hubs and Hops that I started, and it's from Hubs and Hops up to Bingham State Park.
Okay. That's where we were thinking about staying last night, but then the rain shifted that way. So we're not going to do that.
And that's about 80 miles.
Okay.
And I've got a little bit different route coming back. That's one item that comes out of Hubs and Hops. They also have Thomasville gravel ride coming up in.
Do they still do their event?
Yes.
The Red Clay. What was that? What's that one called?
Red Clay Classic.
Red Clay Classic. That's it.
And
first time I went in to visit them and introduced myself, told them what I was up to. Oh, I'm putting together a gravel route all the way across the country. We don't have gravel roads. I understand that.
The gravel roads that we do have are more clay.
They are. It's like gravel's just a generic term.
Yeah, but most of the time the road conditions are perfect.
Oh yeah, we were in there in the pouring rain.
Every now and then, if it's raining, you don't want to be on some.
We were in the pouring rain yesterday, and it was hassle because I'm used to our North Texas black clay and our Southern Oklahoma red clay. When those get rain, yes, the Georgia red clay gets clunky, but you don't sink all the way down to the floorboard of the vehicle. At least there's some substrate to it. But here's an idea. I like the sound of your state park route. So what we're doing in Texas with the Tuba route and what I'm going to do in Louisiana for sure is we're doing what we call Tuba Loop introductory rides where we get a bigger group together and just do shorter sections of the Tuba and have something like the state park overnight and come back a different way and make a loop of it. Maybe we could combine your out with the Tuba and make one really cool 2-day, 150-mile loop or something like that. And base it, stage it from Hubs and Hops. But I haven't chatted with those guys about it, but I bet you got a connection or two there.
Conley is the mechanic and Roger Hawks is the owner.
I'm pretty sure it was Roger I spoke with last time. But
yeah, he's done great since he's moved up out of Tallahassee to start the business in Thomasville, Georgia.
Oh, were they in Tallahassee originally?
Yes, the Higher Ground bike shop.
Oh, okay. I did not realize that.
He did not own Higher Ground. He was involved in it a lot.
Okay.
So he started his own business in Thomasville.
Very cool. I've always been a fan of Thomasville from way back in the day.
It's a beautiful town.
It's a gorgeous town. Went to Florida State and worked for a carpet cleaning company on the side. I'm not going through school, and we went up to Thomasville quite a bit, and we would clean the carpets on some of those old antebellum homes. Just absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
Absolutely gorgeous. It's a really neat town.
So a lot of my routes start from Thomasville.
And some fantastic riding around there.
Some of them come all the way over here to Madison and Valdosta. That's probably the further east that I get on my routes. a lot of my people don't like to do 100-mile days. And that's part of my training. A lot of people say, how do you train for the mountains, for the Tour Divide? It's time in the saddle, because you get into a rhythm on the climbs, and it's just that for like up to 6 hours.
Sure. Ultimately, you're doing the same effort.
Yes.
Just if you're going uphill, you're just doing it at a slower speed.
But it's the time in the saddle, and I would put in a few 100-mile days camping also at the end of each day, and do 2 or 3 days in a row and get used to my setup. I use a tent rather than a bivvy. I don't like bivvies. I like a tent. I've got a 2-person tent.
Carry a 2-person with you.
Yeah, but it's as light as a 1-person.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Which tent do you have these days?
You're going to ask me that. I don't know. I've used it almost every time I've been on the Tour Divide.
So you've had it a while, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've had to redo the seams a bit, and it's still fine. The first time I used a tarp tent, it leaked like crazy. So I never used that again. That was on the first one, the 2009 Tour Divide that I did. I've also done the La Ruta in Costa Rica.
Okay.
Which is across the country from the Pacific to the Caribbean. And that's a 3-day stage race. For a while after I did it, I think I did that 3 times.
Is that off-road?
Yes.
Okay.
It's more of a mountain bike.
I say, is it more like a mountain bike type thing?
Yeah. So you do close to 100 miles each day, and they put you up in a motel and feed you. And the cost is almost the same as a 1-day Ironman cost.
Which is what these days?
God, it's up to close to $900, I think.
It's got to be creeping up to $1,000.
Yeah.
I would love to do things, put on events in that structure where you just worry about pedaling your bike, and we'll take care of the rest when you get there. But the logistics of that are just overwhelming.
Especially nowadays.
You can't.
Back in the day, you could handle it, but it's got some more complicated nowadays.
And just ultimately it's tremendously expensive to even train. Back in the day, you could rent a big house or a wing of not a no-tell motel, but not the nicest hotel, for a decent price. And if half the people didn't show up, it's okay, we got it covered. But now you got to have everybody show up or pay the full price, and then it's still pushing it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And when you tell people, hey, we can do all that, we can do it full service, but it's $2,500 a person. Oh, that's ridiculous. Break it down. What does that really look like over a week? But anyway, we're digressing. So now I'm curious, is there a little personal luxury that you spoil yourself with because you talk about carrying the 2-person tent, which some people would go, oh my gosh, those extra 8 grams are ridiculous, or whatever. Is there something you spoil yourself with when you are doing the Tour Divide or a multi-day or a big camping trip or anything like that? Or do you just bring the basics?
Basically the basics.
Okay.
But if I'm going through like Helena, I'll get a motel room.
Sure.
And man, that's nice to have a shower and a bed to sleep in. This whole body would love to sleep in a bed. But typically I think I've got one of the heaviest rigs out there. Normally I put a sleeping bag and tent on my handlebar sling. And I've got a frame bag for my tools and some of my clothes, and a rear seat bag plate. I love Revelate.
Okay. Is all your stuff Revelate?
Pretty much.
Okay.
The one that my son made me for the first one, actually it was the second one, worked a lot better than the Revelate. It had more room. And with all that and the water, Lately, I've tried to stay out of carrying a backpack with a bladder in it. But I used to carry a backpack and put my rain gear in that so I don't have to stop and pull out stuff from the seat bag. That's where I carry most of my clothes and some other utensils. I don't drink coffee. I don't build a fire. Whenever I stop, I just camp right there along the route.
Do you have a stove?
Nope.
All right. So what do you do for food?
Find it along the way. Now, this is another thing.
Okay.
My stomach can't eat. Like I see some of these guys, they'll eat 2 or 3 big meals at a time. My stomach can't handle that. So each time I've done the Tour Divide, I've lost basically a pound a day. I ended up losing 30 pounds. And 13 and 17, 30 pounds. And I look like I'm from a concentration camp after I finish up. My jersey is just hanging on me, but I just survive mostly on gas station food.
Yeah, it's not for me to tell you you're doing it wrong, but that's not the way it's supposed to work.
I talk to some people, and some people say, yeah, I gained 1 or 2 pounds.
Yeah,
how can you gain when you're racing? And that's the thing. You don't want to stop that long.
Now, when you say gas station food, are you talking honey buns or burritos that have been on the warmer for 2 days, or what sort of things are you talking?
If I can find one of a hot dog that's been sitting rolling around for 2 weeks, I'll eat it. But a lot of trail mix,
Okay.
peanut butter, whatever you can find.
So how did you move from triathlons and Ironmans to the Tour Divide? What was that bridge like?
To me, it was just no problem.
It was a natural progression
Yeah,
for you?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did the Tour Divide get on your radar?
I read an article in Outside Magazine about it. And I think that was the Great Divide, where they started in Eureka
At the border.
and went down. And Matthew started his in Banff, which is a little over 200 miles in Canada, probably 250, and then used a lot of the Great Divide route. But he made it more difficult and veered off on some sections. And one of the ones that I really liked was Crossing Creek. And I think they did that in, was it 13? May have done that in 13 or 7, where this was one hell of a hike a bike, pushing up over a ridge. Basically, it's a ridge. It's about 4 miles. That there's a stream coming down where you're pushing your bike up. So it's not really a double track. It's a stream.
Okay. I've heard stories about that one. So I'm sorry. So your first year again was
2009, 13, 17,
17.
21, and 23.
What year was that Ride the Divide maybe? Was that like 11 or 12?
I think so. I follow the leaders, and the last leader from Switzerland, 11 days. How in the world can you do that in 11 days? He's from another planet.
And that brings up a good point, though. And I'm not saying this is a negative. I'm not meaning this as a negative. And it's nothing against what the Tour Divide has become, or what even Leadville and things like that. To me, as an everyday guy, to me, it's always been more interesting when just the everyday Joes are going out and doing these things and winning these things, as opposed to the highest level athletes. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but it's when the guy I know that is my local legend, that when I'm out racing 12 or 24-hour mountain bike races, he's the guy I'm chasing, and he goes out and do the Tour Divide. That's really cool, as opposed to this guy that's semi-famous from the internet and everybody knows his name. That's really cool that he's out there and doing it, but it means a lot more when just the guy at your local bike shop's doing it. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, when Mike Hall set the record, everybody was focused on his record. And the thing about the Tour Divide, the route changes every year.
I've never been a big fan of the record on that for that reason.
Yeah. It's hard to tell because of weather and fire detours.
Or if you get an extra 8% of pavement over the entire route, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, but you have some, since Mike Hall did it, there have been others that really unknown. They're really fast, but can they really do it? And this last guy, he could really do it.
Oh, there's no doubt.
But you were talking about local legends that you would chase going out there and do it. A lot of them don't realize this is not a 24-hour race. This is not something you just do and you're fast as hell, they go up and blow themselves up because it's a different mindset.
Yeah, they're used to pedaling for 24 hours. They're going to pedal for 24 hours, sleep for an hour, pedal for another 48 hours, sleep for it doesn't work that way. Not over 20 or 30 days.
Yeah, yeah. So they blow themselves up within just a few days. So they're out there using their old technique of racing it when it's not really a race, it's a survival.
Sure.
So we just had some swimmers come up from the springs, and it would be really chilly for me to go in right now.
The spring's the same temperature all the time.
Yeah.
But once you get out, it's a different story. There's one, trying to think what year it was. It had to have been 85 or 86. Good friend of mine, it was Christmas week, and we decided we were going to go diving at Peacock Springs. But it was freezing, and it's okay because the water temperatures the fine year round. It's the same 72 degrees year round. So we went diving, beautiful dive, come up, and it's literally just one of those crazy cold Florida snaps, 7 degrees outside. And it's back in the days before we had all the decks and stairways, and you're having to scramble up the cliffside. And by the time he's got an old Ford Escort, by the time we get to his car, every bit, our wetsuits are frozen. All of the dive gear, the regulators in the tanks, everything's absolutely frozen, solid chunks of ice by the time we get to the car. We had to fire up his car, open the hatchback, and we both just laid in there for 30 minutes while the heater was blowing on us, just to be able to get the wetsuits off.
Yeah, people think about Florida, oh, you don't have to worry about the cold weather. But yeah, I love cold weather. And most of my friends don't like to ride when it's 30, 20, or teens. And I would show up for group rides, road group rides, before I got into all this. This is back when I was doing triathlons, back in the 70s and 80s. I would show up to a group ride and nobody else would be there. I'd be the only one showing up. And it's all how you dress to make it.
I agree.
It's not that bad.
I'm a fan of riding in the cold. I'm okay riding in the wet. I don't do cold and wet, though.
Yeah. You can get hypothermic pretty fast. But I did the escape from Alcatraz 3 times. And the first time I did it, I was training in what we call Lake Hall in Tallahassee. And it was a really cold day, and the temperature in the lake was like high 50s. And I had 2 of my friends join me for the swim across the lake and back. And within 10 yards, they turned around and came back because their face was on fire. And I gutted it out for another 10 yards, and finally it went numb, and I was able to go across the lake and come back. But then in San Francisco, in the Bay, it wasn't as cold as that. The thing that most people aren't thinking about is the tide is going out underneath the Golden Gate, and you can't swim to the takeout, which is down towards the gate. You got to swim straight across and let the tide take you down to the takeout.
Okay.
And there was several people that had to be rescued by jet skis because they were headed out to the ocean.
So earlier you were talking about everything's all about saddle time, and you're interested in doing the tuba and so forth. So what's a typical riding week for you these days? How much time are you getting in the saddle?
Not much at all right now. I go to the gym 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday I ride, and it's about 50, 60 miles at a time. So 150 a week or thereabouts.
Okay. Is that gravel? Is it road? A little bit of everything?
It's both.
Okay.
I do both, road and gravel. I'm with younger guys, and I have, since I started getting dropped on the hills, I've transitioned to e-bikes.
Okay.
So I have a Pinarello e-bike that's 26 pounds. I love it.
Okay.
And I found out that I was going to use that for both gravel and road. And that was a class 1?
Class 1 up to 20 or?
Up to 20. And I couldn't keep up with younger group that I usually ride with on the pavement. So I ended up getting a specialized Creole, which is a class 3 with 28. And I'm able to keep up with all the fast riders now.
Okay.
And with my Pinarello, I could do, there's a race here called the Dirty Pecan
I've heard of that one.
here in Tallahassee, which is basically Monticello. It starts in Monticello.
I love Monticello.
And they have routes from 30 miles up to 200 miles. And from the first time they started, I wanted to do the 150. So I did the 150 on a regular, my Tour Divide bike. And lately I'm doing the 150 on my e-bike, my Pinarello. And I have power left over because it's so light. I don't use the power all the time.
Okay, I was about to say, there's no way the battery lasts for 100.
No.
So you're turning it off and
Yes.
you just use assist intermittently.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I still get a good workout.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody says, you're cheating. Well, at 80 years old, you're going to want one too.
Yeah. So which one of those would you use on the Tuba?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I'd go back to my Tour Divide bike,
Okay.
which in between, I bought another Motopeak and the Lightspeed.
Okay.
I would use one of those.
To be determined.
Yes.
What are the biggest questions you have about the Tuba or that attempt, or what would you need to figure out to sort out which bike and things like that?
I would probably use either one, but the thing I'm looking forward to is the new scenery.
Yep.
For the Tour Divide, to me, that was God's country out there. And I spoke to God the entire way. Every day, I'd speak to him and thank him for what he's given us as a planet. I turned basically religious. I'm not a church-going person, but nature,
you're spiritual.
Nature is my church. And I just love the Tour Divide because I feel so much closer to God in what he's created.
I get that completely. Back in the very beginning of Spinistry, our first tagline was Spinistry Church of the Bike. For very much this, it's just all of this experience while we're out there, and it means so much, and it's so much more than us. And we're lucky to be able to be a part of it. I agree completely. And that's a big part of the Tuba. What you're talking about is I want to show people things they would never see any other way. Not that I'm creating anything new per se. It's here's the carrot that motivates you to go and experience these things and see these things. And
what I am looking forward to is a route that is off the pavement. You got the southern tier, which is basically all pavement. You got the northern tier, which is basically all pavement. And I am not interested in doing cross country on pavement with all the cars.
Sure. Hi there.
So I'm looking forward to do the Tuba and being on dirt and gravel. Some of it probably hard. There'll be sections that are hard, but I'm not going to race it. I'm going to tour it and enjoy myself. And that's what people ask me, why don't you just tour the Tour Divide? Start with the Grand Depart and just do 50 miles. It's not my DNA. If it's a race, I'm going to try to race it. And I've enjoyed it racing. If somebody wants to go out there and do a section, I may go with them and just do, if they want to do 50, 75 miles in the day, I would do that, but not the whole thing.
Have you thought about it as to, if you did attempt it, what your time of year to start and try to complete it might be yet, or is it too early to be thinking along those lines?
I wouldn't want to do it in the summer, probably the fall, but you have to look out for New Mexico because that's what we are looking out for in racing the Tour Divide, is to beat the monsoon rains. And
those are mostly summer in New Mexico. So June, July, and early August.
July and August.
Yeah.
So I want to work around that some, because I don't know what the some of the sections that you've
Sure.
done out there
Sure.
are like. Because on the Tour Divide, I know what sections not to even attempt if it's raining, because you can't even push a bike on some of those
Right.
sections
Right.
when it's just
So
mud.
what I'm thinking, particularly on that roughly 100-mile-a-day schedule, roughly, there's going to be obviously variance to it. I guess different from somebody that's thinking 20 or 50 miles a day. But if you're thinking more than 50 miles a day, but not trying to knock out 200 miles a day, I'm thinking probably late September is about the right time to start it from Jacksonville. And that gets you through the southeast. It's still warm, but it's not the worst of summer.
Yeah, you could hit Texas on a first cold front coming through. You're going to be in trouble.
You could. So what we typically do, we do our RAT 1000, which is the Texas segment of the Tuba. And we've been hosting that basically Columbus Day weekend is when we start that each year. So that gets you all the way across Texas and in New Mexico.
Okay.
And starting in Florida, second half of September would line up with getting through Texas about that same time. If you do it later in October, we have just missed a couple of blizzards when we did it later in October, but we never got caught in, missed one by a day. So that should get you through New Mexico again on that schedule and into Arizona before either of them get snowed in, assuming everything goes decently. That's my guess, though. We don't know for sure yet. So I'm going to Arizona first week of January to hopefully what I have mapped out, see how that works. But what I have mapped out doesn't work after everything's snowed in.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to get there before it snowed in, or even yesterday when it was raining so hard here. Ideally, I like to verify routes, not in the worst weather, but not in the best weather. So
Right.
I like to verify a route shortly after a good rain most of the time. I would like to verify Arizona, that the stretches that might have a snow concern, maybe when they early in the season when maybe there's some snow on the ground but nothing socked in yet, but we'll see.
That's another thing about carrying your clothes.
How do you pack for 4,000 miles?
That's the thing. Here, you start here and it's hot and humid and you're going along and it's hot. And then all of a sudden you get a cold front, a freak cold front that comes through.
Yep.
You could end up like, what year was it that they had to rescue so many people?
That was just a couple years ago.
Yeah. 23 maybe. And they had a picture of a car at the last Galton Pass, which was the last pass before the border. A car with snow, just the only thing you could see, the top of the car, and it's 6-7 feet buried in snow at Galton Pass. Galton Pass, the backside of Galton Pass is one of the steepest descents, and I usually do that at night.
Okay.
And I think the last time I did it, when I got to Eureka, I looked at my rotors and they were black. And I was on the brakes. I was overriding my light.
Yeah.
My light wasn't putting out far enough where here comes a corner.
Oh.
So you're not sure how fast you go around that corner.
I see exactly what you were doing. Yeah, I get it.
So the bike shop looked at the rotor and he says, well, good news is you didn't bend it, but you need some new pads.
What is your light setup of choice these days?
The first time I used the K-Light, and that's runs off of your hub.
The Dyna Hub?
And I found out where was it? Outside of Salida, there's a big climb there, and I was doing it at night. And you're going so slow, you're not getting the light out of the Dyna Hub. So everything had closed in a little tunnel. And I figured, okay, I need a extra light for climbing. So I use here's another one. I can't remember.
I get it.
I get
it. Is it a helmet mount or a bar mount or?
Yeah, bar mount.
Okay.
One of the black ones.
Lazine, Night Rider.
Night Rider.
Okay.
Take a Night Rider.
Okay.
And also.
Those are tried and true and dependable as hell.
Yes. And over the last few years, some other lights have hit the market that, oh man, these are amazing. And they got a lot more than the Night Rider. You got 1,000 or more lumens. And I've got a couple of those. So I may take 2 extra lights if I know that I'm going to be riding a lot at night. But mostly I want to ride in the day to see all the scenery.
Thank you. Those of us that put these routes together appreciate that you want to see it.
Yes, because it's totally different riding at night with a light rather than the daylight. It seems, even on my routes around here, it changes the way you think. It takes longer, it seems like, at night.
It's a completely different experience.
It's shorter. It's either shorter or longer, it seems, at night rather than the daylight.
I get it.
At the daylight, you got things to look at all the time. It keeps your mind busy. And that's another thing about keeping your mind busy. If you get a song in your head, you cannot get it out.
I was just going to go there. You've got you get those earworm songs, don't you?
Yeah.
Hey, it lets you keep tempo, though.
And another thing is, nowadays, everybody has the earbuds. They don't want to listen to the music. I want to listen to the nature.
Yeah.
I want to listen to the elk bugle. I want to listen to the birds sing. So I don't
spring gurgle and things like that.
I don't use the earbuds at all.
Okay.
But to get a song in your head and you can't get it out of your head, damn. What else do you want to ask me?
I was just saying I have so much ground I want to cover with you, but like I said, we're not going to be able to do it all in one go. And I think we're over. Yeah, we're over an hour.
Oh yeah, people don't want to watch this for over an hour.
Most are going to listen to it, but we do it as a video version as well. I'll post it both ways, but I definitely do want to talk to you some more as obviously Tuba pieces come together, but I know there's going to be so many people that have other questions for you once we put the episode up. You said there were a couple of lady friends that were interested in doing the Tuba with you as well. Would that be where you're a mentor or a guide, or is it just we're all equal, pulling our own weight sort of situation?
The couple that have done it with me were newbies, and they did great. I let them know that I'm racing it. So I will let you know where I'm going to be spending the night. And then if you're behind me, you can go there and wake me up or whatever.
Okay.
Spend the night where I spend the night. Or I'll pick you up at the inn in Antelope Wells, of which I did this past time. I think they came in 2 or 3 days after I did.
Okay.
A friend of mine that I met on one of the tours lived in Tucson. And he was nice enough to come over and pick me up at the end of this last ride. And then I rented a car and came back and picked them up. And we all rode back to Tallahassee in the same car.
It's all about the logistics for those things.
We took the bikes apart and had 3 bikes in the back of a big Ford SUV.
Expedition or something like that.
And the 3 of us. And at the end, most of the finishers will get a picture of them at the gate. Now they don't let you go all the way into the monument of the actual border between, but I was able to talk to the people and they would let me go to the monument and get finishing pictures. And people are going, wait a minute, I didn't see that.
You sweet talking devil, yeah. Good job.
But yeah, if you finish in the day, you can talk to the border guards and they'll let you go to the actual monument and get a picture of yourself finishing.
Pro tip from Mr. Rick Ashton. Rick, this was fun. I'm so happy you took the time to come see me out here at this beautiful spot. I look forward to meeting you again in another beautiful spot, probably some along the way with Tuba, and hopefully maybe we can get a group together out of Thomasville or something sometime next year and start playing on bikes together.
Okay, on Facebook, you can do post on Facebook. If you have a question, you can put it on there and hopefully I'll see it and answer you.
On a page of yours or on the Tuba discussion page? Tuba discussion page will include, we have a Facebook Tuba discussion page. I'll post a link to that in the show notes and Rick's information as well. Please, if you have any questions, visit the Facebook discussion page or send us an email, shiftlesslive@gmail.com. Again, I believe this was episode 126. Brad, sorry you weren't here. I know you've got a ton of questions for Rick as well. That's another reason I want to plan to get together. Next time I'm going to drag Brad with me, and he's got a ton of questions for you. Thank you, sir. Fantastic meeting you. I'm very excited by this.
I look forward to riding it.
Excellent. Oh, go ride your bikes.